Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. So yesterday I got this comment from Zybarth. He says, Elder Hales, October 2002, speaks of angels visiting him while in the hospital. So I was like, what? Another time in general conference that like a modern day. And when I say modern day, I mean within the last few decades, that a modern day apostle says that he's encountered angels or heavenly messengers. And so I had to check this out. So I went to go look, and there was nothing there in October 2002. It's very uncharacteristic of Zybarth to give me a bad reference, but I know that he's not a robot, and neither am I. And I was like, I can't find that. I looked, and then he said, oh, sorry, October 2000, and then the name of the talk is The Covenant of Baptism. So we are going to look at that because I have a spreadsheet, in case you're new. It's a timeline of visions, visitations, dreams, near-death experiences, and end-of-life experiences of general authorities and their families. So, yeah, we'll take a look at that. Before we do, here's the update on the Flood the Earth Challenge. And I don't think I mentioned this last time, although I do think I had this updated. I failed to mention that there's been a new baptism. So we're just in the very beginning of September, and that's a good way to start the month. So the total number of people that have been baptized as a result of the Flood the Earth Challenge is 52. 176 have met with missionaries. This right here is the same person. It's just that the person that reported this didn't tell me until after the person got baptized. But of course, they met with the missionaries, so I updated that at the same time. If you know anybody that was baptized as a result of this challenge and they end up getting their endowments and getting sealed, please let me know that too, because I'm keeping track of that. That's the ultimate goal, is to progress down the covenant path. We've shared a total of 10,070 copies of the Book of Mormon so far. Now that we've hit 10,000, we're trying to get to 50,000. And we have 1,183. I didn't update that. 1,183 people that have joined the challenge. Now that we've hit 1,000, we're trying to get to 5,000. Just share a copy of the Book of Mormon. Remember, you can use the Gospel Library app to share digital copies of the Book of Mormon. Go to Scriptures, and there's a button so you can share the Book of Mormon app. And then text to email it or direct message, and then let me know. Let me know in the comments or send me an email. Make sure to include #flood. Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. So if you're new to the church, Robert D. Hales was a member of the Quorum of the 12. He passed away in 2017. So that was just the year before President Nelson became president of the church. But he was just like, for me, in my life experience, it just felt like he was like a permanent fixture in the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, because I basically grew up with him. So when he passed away, it was surreal. But here's the talk. We're looking at the end sign because I needed to get the page number. So it says November 2000, but this is the October 2000 General Conference, The Covenant of Baptism, to be in the Kingdom and of the Kingdom, by Elder Robert D. Hales of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. Okay, so he says, after recovering from 3 major surgeries, which have prevented me from speaking in the past 2 general conferences, I have that highlighted because that's a clue as to when this happened. I don't have an exact date, but this gives us a general idea when this happened. So what a joy it is to be able to stand in this beautiful conference center today to teach and bear testimony to those who desire to hear the word of the Lord. Yeah, in the year 2000, that's when the church had switched over to the conference center from the tabernacle on Temple Square. In the past 2 years, so here's like another clue. It could have been 2 years, up to 2 years before he gave this talk. I have waited upon the Lord for mortal lessons to be taught me through periods of physical pain, mental anguish, and pondering. I learned that constant, intense pain is a great consecrating purifier that helps humble us and draws us closer to God's Spirit. If we listen and obey, we will be guided by His Spirit and do His will in our daily endeavors. There were times when I have asked a few direct questions in my prayers, such as, What lesson dost thou want me to learn from these experiences? As I studied the scriptures during this critical period of my life, the veil was thin, and answers were given to me as they were recorded in the lives of others who had gone through even more severe trials. I should have highlighted that. I'm going to do that right now. My son, peace be unto thy soul. Thine adversity and thine afflictions shall be but a small moment. And then, if thou endure it well, God shall exalt thee on high. Doctrine and Covenants 121, verses 7 through 8. Dark moments of depression were quickly dispelled by the light of the gospel as the Spirit brought peace and comfort with assurances that all would be well. On a few occasions, I told the Lord that I had surely learned the lessons to be taught and that it wouldn't be necessary for me to endure any more suffering. I'm sure that we've all had this experience. I don't know about you. I've had a lot of pain in my life from various things. Feel free to share your experiences below. What's the worst pain that you've ever experienced? But I know that we've all gone through a lot of suffering, and we've had moments like this when it's like, okay, I learned the lesson. That was a good one. Can we move on? I think I have that one down. All right, continuing. Such entreaties seemed to be of no avail, for it was made clear to me that this purifying process of testing was to be endured in the Lord's time and in the Lord's own way. It is one thing to teach, thy will be done. It is another to live it. I also learned that I would not be left alone to meet these trials and tribulations, but that guardian angels would attend me. Okay? Guardian angels. There were some that were near angels in the form of doctors, nurses, and most of all, my sweet companion, Mary. On occasion, now here's the part that we're looking for. And on occasion, when the Lord so desired, I was to be comforted with visitations of heavenly hosts that brought comfort and eternal reassurances in my time of need. And then that's it. It's all just in just a couple sentences. Guardian angels in that sentence, and then the visitation of heavenly hosts, and he doesn't elaborate. So I wanted to see if he had written any books, because it seems to me like most apostles have at least written one book, and he has. He's written these two books, Repentance, and then the other one is Return, 4 phases of our mortal journey home. And that's the only one that was on archive.org. So I pulled that up, and I wanted to see, if he had any more details about that experience. He does include it in this book, but it's basically just what he said in general conference, but let's read it anyway. It's a section called Heavenly Help. This is page 385, in case you own this book or you end up getting it. Here, I'll zoom in. Okay. Is there such a thing as too much suffering? Suffering more than we can bear? Paul assured us, there hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above what you are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. 1 Corinthians 10:13. Our Savior knows our hearts, each one. He knows the pains of our souls, and he will succor us in our time of need. Not only will he not tempt us more than he can strengthen us to resist that temptation, but he will not allow us to suffer more than he can strengthen us to bear that suffering. Let me just pause right here. This is kind of interesting. I have actually, this is just hitting me right now as I'm recording this. I've kind of been thinking about that lately. You see some of the most horrible things on X, formerly Twitter. It's now called X. There are a lot of bad things on there, videos that you wish that you could just erase from your brain, and on YouTube as well. I have a guilty pleasure in watching police videos just because it's like fascinating to me to see somebody that whose bad behavior ends up catching up to them and seeing the consequences of that. And I do not delight in anybody suffering. In fact, I feel bad for the criminals as well, bad for what they've done to themselves through their bad choices and the suffering that they have to go through afterwards in the form of various things, but of course, like prison time. And I've been thinking a lot about all the suffering that goes on in this world. There's a lot. You know, you have a lot of people out there. You have children that are vulnerable, powerless, and at the mercy of, you know, their parents or caretakers, or if it's an adult, you know, there's adults that are at the mercy of the people in their lives. And sometimes bad things go on for a long time. And it's been kind of disturbing me lately. And I've actually prayed about it. It's almost like, oh my gosh, is something going to happen to me at some point? And if not, then that's great. But there's still all my brothers and sisters that are going through these horrible things in mortality. And I mean, here it is right here. Not only will he not tempt us more than he can strengthen us to resist that temptation, but he will not allow us to suffer more than he can strengthen us to bear that suffering. So I think that's the key, is to understand that, because I'm sure that I know that there are limits on suffering, and the suffering that's possible, that's beyond those limits, he doesn't allow to happen. Like there are probably just worse things that you could imagine of that don't actually happen because the Lord doesn't allow it. Anyway, okay, so continuing. In my own times of affliction, I have learned that I was not left alone, but that guardian angels were sent to attend me. Some of these were doctors, nurses, and especially my eternal companion Mary. On occasion, when the Lord so desired, I was also comforted with visitations of heavenly hosts that brought comfort and eternal assurances in my time of need. So I really wish we had more of that story, but that story is his to share. And that's all he has shared in General Conference and in this book. And it gives us one of our most recent accounts of a visitation by heavenly messengers. So I'm guessing that this happened sometime between 1998 and 1999. It could have been early 2000. I should probably include that in there. But that's pretty recent. So the most recent one that I have is from 2012. Here, I'll zoom in. 2012, it was the dedication of the Brigham City, Utah temple. President Boyd K. Packer, president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, was dedicating the temple, and he said that Brigham Young, Lorenzo Snow, and Rudger Clausen, everyone's saying that it's pronounced Rudger, so I'm going to go with that. Rudger Clausen was there at the dedication. The next most recent after that, this was... Oh yeah, I found the exact date. It was the 3rd of October, 2009, and it was the father of Elder Dale G. Redlin, and he had an end-of-life visioning experience where he saw people on the other side of the veil, which is somewhat common for people that are, you know, about to leave this life. They're at the end of life. It's a well-known phenomenon, but he shared that with his son, and then he shared it with us during the First Presidency Christmas devotional of that year. And then the third most recent, I actually don't have a date, so I can't say it's the third most recent, but at the time, Elder Dallin A. Jokes talked about extended family members who had visitations and visions. So technically, the third most recent that I can confirm is this one that we just read by Elder Robert D. Hales. At the bottom of the spreadsheet, I have a tally. I still plan on getting all this information on like a secondary spreadsheet with all like the stats, because I'm keeping track of all the heavenly messengers over here. I'm counting them up. So I'm going to, migrate that information to another spreadsheet, as well as this right here, which is a tally of the number of accounts that I've collected by decade. So this is my first one for the 1990s. The 1990s was an important year in my life. That's when I was a teenager and growing up and everything. So I have a fondness of the 90s. So I'm happy that we have one for the 90s. I don't have any so far for the 20s. So now the only decades that I'm missing is the 1960s, 40s, and 30s. And that's pretty much it. I'm not really counting anything before the 1820s. So I just want to see if I can get all these decades filled up since 1820. I have a total of 73 that I've collected so far. And I think it's just going to keep going. I really think that this will probably get into the hundreds, at least like 200 or more. I could be wrong. Maybe that's ambitious. I don't know. But I'm going to keep looking for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get to that point. So, okay. Well, I think that's it. Okay, well, that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.